What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. I don't know why, but these type of videos are the type of videos where I just feel like I know that my or little inner circle of my channel is, because these are not typical videos that new viewers would watch. Maybe you are new, then hello. But usually these would be the type of videos where like our inner circle is, and that's why these are also the type of videos, wait, there you go, that I like to do kind of like little updates on. So updates, next week I'm getting a new camera. I am so excited about it because the quality should be way better than this one that I'm using right now, and it's just a step further on this little journey, so that's exciting. I mean, at some point we'll have a studio too, which, because I really want to do like an actual, like, maybe like some type of like closet in the back, or closet, is it called a closet, shelves or something with like stuff that you guys send me, or just like stuff that go with the channel. So this is not going to be like, this is temporary, this situation. But yeah, I'm just super excited and super grateful that I get to do stuff like this, and better my equipment and all of that. That's exciting. And then a second thing is that this morning I woke up and I don't know why, but usually it's always the national day of something. So I was like, I wonder what national day it is today. Apparently today, November the 18th, it's the National Princess Day. So it said that you should get your kids and make a princess tea party because it's National Princess Day. I don't know why we need kids for that, because I would love to have a princess tea party anyways. But yeah, I just thought that was fun. And for that reason, I'm gonna give myself some princess treatment, and we're gonna watch my favorite channel, Weird History, and what people ate to survive in the Victorian era. The Victorian era was kind of like, about queens and princesses, right? So let's see what this video is about, guys.
Named after...
I feel like I just talked so much and so quick, like I should probably start a rap career or something.
Named after Queen Victoria, who reigned in the United Kingdom from 1837 until she passed in 1901, the Victorian era was a period filled with shifting trends, attitudes, and innovations. Food itself was part of these changes, and the Victorians displayed resourcefulness and creativity in the dishes they prepared. Victorian Britons were a diverse bunch with eclectic tastes and habits, and the food they consumed often reflected their disparate sensibilities. Today, we're going to take a look at what people ate to survive in Victorian England.
In Victorian England. Okay. For that to develop into toast and beans and Marmite and fish and chips with vinegar, I wonder what they ate in the Victorian era. I mean, I have nothing against it. I actually love fish and chips with vinegar. But they're just not like the most creative culinary, I wouldn't say. So, okay.
But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below what other culinary history you would like to hear about. Okay, for our entree today, we recommend this Victorian-styled video. I think it's just delicious. Among other things, Victorians were enthusiastic horticulturalists, and they loved to tinker with and create their own varieties of fruits and vegetables. One of the most successful fruits to emerge in the late Victorian period was the Royal Sovereign strawberry. Developed by Thomas Laxton in 1892, it was luscious and tasty. Botanists of the 19th century were on something of a quest to develop a strawberry that was as large as the American variety, but as sweet as the European variety. And Laxton's creation scored on both counts.
I'm so confused. How do you make different varieties of fruit? Like, is it do you change like what is it called? The dirt? Or like, do you give it different fertilizer? Or like, how does that work? How can you make that?
His Royal Sovereign strawberry was such a hit that Country Life Illustrated declared in 1899 that it was one of the finest strawberries ever raised. McDonald's gave us the Egg McMuffin breakfast combo, IHOP gave us the Rooty Tooty Fresh and Fruity breakfast plate, and Victorian England gave us the full English breakfast, typically encompassing a spread of fried eggs, bacon, baked beans, grilled tomatoes, and mushrooms. The full English breakfast remains, to this day, a popular meal. However, prior to the Victorian era, only the wealthy could afford to eat eggs and meat for breakfast. That slowly changed throughout the 19th century as the standard of living increased for the vast majority of the population. By the end of the era, even working-class Victorians had the time and money to enjoy a more elaborate breakfast. It may be hard to believe now, but one of the most
So basically, the breakfast hasn't changed since the Victorian era.
It may be hard to believe now, but one of the most popular beverages of the Victorian era was beer. Okay, it's actually not that hard to believe. In fact, by 1865, British brewers made 25 million barrels of beer annually. Though it was widely consumed, Victorian beer had a relatively low alcohol content, usually less than 3%. You might be wondering why beer was so popular if it did not get you drunk. Well, the truth is that the drinking water of the era, especially in crowded cities like London, could easily become contaminated with sewage. Consuming beer was therefore a safer, and significantly less disgusting, option for Victorians looking to quench their thirst. Since the climate in the UK made growing sugar pretty much impossible, it had to be imported. No one knows exactly when the importation of sugar began, but some believe it might have been as early as 1264 in the court of Henry III. It wouldn't be until the 14th century that sugar came into general use. But even then, it was incredibly expensive, commanding prices that in today's money would be about 50 English pounds or 70 American dollars per pound. As you might expect, it remained a luxury for the ultra-rich. However, thanks in part to the end of taxes on imported sugar in 1874, candy quickly became popular and could be found virtually everywhere in the Victorian world.
This is so weird. Imagine in their era, like sugar was so expensive, and for them that was just like, normal. And like imagine it would be like now truffle or something that's like super expensive, like caviar, would suddenly be something that's just like everywhere and you can just buy it for a few dollars. Like that's pretty crazy that sugar was something that was considered like that there, and for us it's just normal.
One of the most popular candies was the bullseye. Named after the eyes of a bull, the sweet treat wasn't as unappetizing as its namesake. The red and white striped, sugary candies were actually mint-flavored. The 19th century saw the birth of what is arguably the most popular breakfast item of all time: cereal. American entrepreneurs like Sylvester Graham developed breakfast cereals to provide healthy food to the masses. Some took it even further. John Kellogg, for example, developed cornflakes as a bland food to curb people's sexual impulses, because, apparently, he thought that was something people wanted. Processed breakfast cereal gained traction in mid-century America and continued to gain popularity over time. Anyone who's been to a grocery store recently could testify to that, as virtually every supermarket in existence today has an entire aisle devoted to products like Frosted Flakes, Cheerios, Honeycombs, and dozens of others. Britons, on the other hand, didn't really take to the stuff the way Americans did. Instead, British Victorians generally preferred to eat gruel, oats, and porridge. Once you've had Cap'n Crunch, you'll never go back. They wouldn't really start to enjoy prepared cereal until the beginning of the 20th century.
I don't really like the colored cereal, honestly. I like what is it called? I don't think it's cereal, but it's like, where you have the seeds and then you have it has a name. Granola. I like granola with like chocolate chips. Yep.
Working and middle-class Victorians supplemented their diet with cheap vegetables. Cabbage in particular was affordable and a good source of nutrients. The famous housekeeping expert, Isabella Beeton, even recommended fried cabbage as a good option for economical meals that would feed a whole family. But there were a lot more options in this department than just cabbage. Onions were also a widely used staple, given their year-round availability and dirt-cheap price. Leeks, watercress, artichokes, carrots, turnips, broccoli, and peas were similarly common, although some of these were more subject to
Oh, I love green peas. Like these ones that you can like pop open and then eat. But I can only have them in the summertime and in Finland because in Spain they don't sell these, and these are so good. Oh. And we would also go out and, you know, grab them. There's like fields of peas where you can grab and take home peas. And yeah, it's fun times, fun times.
peas were similarly common, although some of these were more subject to seasonal availability concerns. By the middle of the era, things were looking up, dietarily speaking, and most Victorians were consuming some kind of meat at least once during the week. Not every cut or type of meat was the same, though. Wealthier Victorians, as you might expect, enjoyed the best pieces of succulent meats, while their poor counterparts had to make do with the cheaper cuts. Butchers sold most parts of the animal, making everything from the head to the hoof available for purchase. A budget-conscious Victorian could buy a sheep's head for 3 pennies, which would be just about 2.5 pounds today. Civic rituals and festivals punctuated life in the Victorian era, and food always played a role in such festivities. No one made celebratory food better than the community of Denby Dale in West Yorkshire. To mark national occasions, bakers in the town were known to create giant meat and potato pies. Some of the events that warranted a giant pie were Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815, the repeal of Corn Laws in 1846, and the 50th anniversary of Queen Victoria's reign in 1887. In the year 2000, the University of Huddersfield School of Engineering baked the Millennium Pie, which, according to reports,
Pie in the Sky ambition. Villagers at Denby Dale in West Yorkshire attempted to eat a world record-sized pie yesterday. The 12-ton Millennium Pie was 40 foot long, 9 foot wide, and 3 feet deep, and included 5,000 kilograms of British beef, 2,000 kilograms of potatoes, 1,000 kilograms of onions, and 100 kilograms of beer. It is the 10th pie made since the tradition started in 1788 with the King George III pie to celebrate the monarch's return to sanity. Excuse me, 5,000 kilograms of British meat. I don't know what feet are, but like 40 foot long, 9 foot wide, and 3 feet deep. No, but like 2,000 kilograms of potatoes sounds like how do you make, where do you, what?
measured 40 feet by 8 feet, held 2 tons of potatoes, a ton of onions, 5 tons of beef, and nearly 200 pints of John Smith's bitter. Victorians were keen gardeners, and their enthusiasm meant that they often sampled the fruits of their labors. The medlar, an aggressively hard fruit, wouldn't be an obvious choice for a meal, but Victorians gave it a go by letting it rot slightly. This softened the fruit, thereby making it edible. Softened medlars could be eaten as is, but many Victorians opted to turn it into medlar cheese or jelly. Medlars, it's worth noting, weren't unique to the Victorians. They dated way back before Victoria's era and even merited mentions in the works of Chaucer, Dekker, and Middleton. No less than 4 mentions of medlars can be found in the plays of William Shakespeare, including in Timon of Athens, As You Like It, Measure for Measure, and even Romeo and Juliet. While it may sound strange to some in the modern era, bone marrow was a relatively popular...
Oh, that hair was beautiful. That is what my hair looks like in actuality. I just straighten it a lot, that's why it looks straight, but my hair is actually this color and this curl.
Sounds strange to some in the modern era, bone marrow was a relatively popular treat in the Victorian era. Chefs and diners would use a tool called a marrow scoop to remove the yellow marrow from animal bones. And it was much sought after, since as a fatty, rich food, it gave Victorians savory calories. In fact, Queen Victoria herself is reputed to have eaten marrow every day. Her one-time chef, Charles Francatelli, created marrow toast for her. His relatively simple recipe involves serving bone marrow, seasoned with ingredients like parsley and lemon juice, on toast. Turtle
I've never tried it. I can't judge, but it just doesn't look very appetizing.
soup was one of the most beloved dishes of the 18th and early 19th centuries on both sides of the Atlantic. But the essential ingredient, turtle meat, was relatively hard to come by and extremely expensive. Enterprising Victorian cooks thus made up their own version of the popular soup. It was just like the expensive kind, only it lacked one crucial thing: the turtle. Something else needed to be substituted for the eponymous ingredient, hence the mock in mock turtle soup. So what did they use? Well, among other things, mock turtle soup could be made with other types of meat, like calf's head, brains, or organ meats. Oysters were part of the Victorian diet, but many working-class folks didn't always have access to fresh batches of them. So, as horrible as this might seem to people used to modern standards, they often had to weigh the risk of eating spoiled seafood. That being said, a much safer method of enjoying less than fresh seafood was by eating pickled oysters, which...
No, I told you guys what happened to me once when I ate an oyster this year. For the ones that haven't seen that video where I talked about it, I blew up on the bus, basically because of an oyster. So no, this is a very big no-no.
would keep longer. Street vendors even sold pickled oysters for the bargain price of 4 for a penny. Not a bad deal considering the only alternative for most folks was to eat rotten ones.
Just don't eat them at all.
When it came to food, Victorians were nothing if not efficient, and they generally used most parts of an animal once it was butchered. This frugality meant that items like calf's head were a relatively popular and affordable cut of meat among all classes. And why wouldn't it be? Calf's head was a surprisingly versatile ingredient and could be prepared in a number of ways. Some recipes called for boiling the head, while others explained how to roast it. That being said, preparing a calf's head could be labor-intensive and required the cook to remove the bones and skin. The brains and tongue, on the other hand, seldom went to waste. Victorians loved gelatins and jellies, even savory ones. To make calf's foot jelly, cooks would have to boil actual calves' hooves in water. The boiled water would then be cooled to form a rich gelatin. Incidentally, this is where it's worth noting that calf's foot jelly is an ancestor of today's gelatin, which is a chief ingredient in many foods, beverages, medications, and other products. Some examples include foods like gelatin desserts, puddings, gummy bears, candy corns, marshmallows, yogurts, cream cheeses, and margarine.
Yeah. I think this was one of the reasons why I stopped eating candy, because when I was like, I don't dislike candy. I just never buy it, and like I'll eat it if someone offers, but it's not like my favorite thing. But because if you read or look up what like the jelly candies are actually made of, ooh, it gives you the creases. Not only the calves, these things, it's they also use something from like pigs, and I don't want to ruin it for you guys if you don't want to look it up, but if you want to look it up, then look it up.
As well as a host of other widely consumed products. It also turns up in non-food items like cosmetics, lighting equipment, glue match heads, and photographic films, just to name a few. That's right, in case you didn't already know, gelatin, which is in all of those foods and products, is mostly made from animal parts. Anyway, Victorians believed that calf's foot jelly was a nourishing food for the infirmed, and recipes for it often appeared in cookbooks for invalids. Modern science, for the record, verifies that gelatin may play some role in joint and brain function, as well as provide benefits to the skin and hair. But the jury is still out on exactly how useful it is in those departments. So what do you think? Which of these Victorian foods sounds the most delicious to you? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from our weird history. Well,
Well, guys, let me know what sounded the best to you. I think I think I'll go with the English breakfast for this one, or the strawberries. The rest was just a little bit questionable. I mean, rotten fruits and vegetables, and you know. Mm. But that was interesting, though. It was way more interesting than what I expected. Honestly, I was expecting something more simpler, maybe, but that was good. I like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for joining me for this video. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next one.